The engine of my 2003 Honda Civic sputtered to life at 5 a.m., just like every morning for the past 4 months. The windows were fogged from my breath, and my back screened from another night spent curled in the backseat. I wiped the condensation away to see the familiar view, the parking lot of the 24-hour gym where I showered each morning, pretending to be an early morning fitness enthusiast instead of what I really was, homeless. My name is Emma, and this is the story of how my family's cruelty became their downfall. 6 months ago, I lost my job at the marketing firm where I'd worked for 3 years. Budget cuts, they said. Last in, first out. Within 2 months, my savings were gone. By month 3, I'd sold everything valuable. By month 4, I was living in my car, too proud to tell anyone at first, then too desperate to care about pride. The morning I finally swallowed my shame and called my parents, I'd just spent a night in below freezing temperatures. My fingers were so numb I could barely dial. Emma? My mother's voice was surprised. It's early. Mom, I need help. The words tumbled out, job loss, eviction, living in my car. Just for a few weeks, until I get back on my feet. The silence stretched so long, I thought we'd been disconnected. Oh, Emma, she sighed like I'd asked her to donate a kidney. This is just terrible timing. We're renovating. Renovating. Your brother's kitchen. We're putting in granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. It's costing a fortune. My brother Adam lived in a 4-bedroom house my parents had bought him 5 years ago as a wedding gift. He worked part-time at a golf shop and spent most of his energy perfecting his backswing. Mom, I'm living in my car. Well, maybe this will motivate you to try harder. You've always been so unmotivated compared to Adam. He's building equity, starting a family. You're 32 and still renting. She paused. We're renting. I'm not asking for money, I said, my voice breaking. Just a couch. Just somewhere warm. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but we simply can't right now. The contractors are using our guest room for storage. Besides, your father's back has been acting up. We need our space. I hung up without saying goodbye. That was January. By March, I developed a routine. Gym shower at 5:30 a.m. Job hunting at the library from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Dinner from the dollar menu. Sleep in the Walmart parking lot, rotating locations so security wouldn't notice. Repeat. I applied for over 200 jobs. I attended interviews in a suit I kept wrinkle-free in a garment bag, praying they wouldn't notice I'd done my makeup in a gym bathroom. I smiled and projected confidence while my stomach growled and my car's check engine light glowed like a threat. My parents, meanwhile, documented Adam's kitchen renovation on Facebook. Italian marble backsplash, custom cabinets, a wine fridge, chef-grade range. Post after post of my mother posing with contractors, Adam grinning beside his new appliances, while his wife Nicole uploaded photos to their Dream Home Journey Instagram. The comments poured in, gorgeous. Parents of the Year. Adam is so lucky to have you. I watched from the library computer, wrapped in my winter coat because I couldn't afford to run my car heater. Then came the morning that changed everything. It was a Tuesday in late March. I just arrived at the library when my phone rang, an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, assuming it was a debt collector, but something made me pick up. Ms. Walker? This is Patricia Reeves from the City Building Department. I'm trying to reach you regarding the property at 425 Maple Street. That was Adam's address. I'm sorry, but I don't live there, I said. That's my brother's house. Our records show you as a partial owner. I froze. That's impossible. Ma'am, according to the deed filed 5 years ago, the property is jointly owned by Adam Walker and Emma Walker. We've been trying to reach you about some serious permit violations, but the letters keep returning as undeliverable. My mind raced. Can you email me the documentation? 20 minutes later, I was staring at a computer screen in shock. There was my name clear as day on the deed to Adam's house. My parents had put me as co-owner. But why? And why haven't anyone told me? The answer came as I read through the permit violations. The renovations my parents were funding. Not a single permit had been pulled. No inspections. No approvals. According to the city, the work was illegal. But that wasn't the worst part. The inspection report, triggered by a neighbor's complaint about construction noise, had uncovered something far more serious. The contractor my parents hired, their golf buddy's son who gave them a family discount, had removed a load-bearing wall without supports. The kitchen ceiling was sagging. The entire second floor was at risk of collapse. And as co-owner, I was legally liable. I called Patricia back. I had no knowledge of these renovations. I don't even live there. That's something you'll need to discuss with code enforcement. But Ms. Walker, that house is currently condemned. No one can occupy it until the structural issues are resolved. Condemned. As of this morning, we posted the notice an hour ago. The occupants have 48 hours to vacate. I sat in my car that night, engine off to save gas, and laughed until I cried. My family had rendered themselves homeless through their own greed and carelessness, and they'd made me, the daughter living in a parking lot, legally responsible for their mess. My phone exploded with calls around 6 p.m. I let them all go to voicemail. Mom, Emma, call immediately. There's been a misunderstanding with the city. Dad, your brother's house has been condemned. This is your fault somehow. Call me. Adam, what did you do? What did you do? The next morning, I met with a lawyer at Legal Aid, a kind woman named Sandra Moss who reviewed my documents pro bono. This is fascinating, she said. Your parents put you on the deed for tax purposes. Joint ownership with their children meant lower property taxes. But they never told you because they didn't want you to have any actual claim to the property. Can they do that? They did do it. And now you own half of a condemned house. She leaned forward. But here's where it gets interesting. As co-owner, you have rights. And as someone who was never informed of ownership or renovations, you have grounds to sue for damages. I don't want to sue anyone, I said. I just want this mess off my record. Well, there's another option. You could force a sale. That afternoon, I finally answered my mother's 15th call. Where have you been? She shrieked. Do you know what's happening? They've condemned Adam's house. They say the renovations were illegal. I know, I said calmly. I'm co-owner, remember. Silence. Of that, she said finally, that was just paperwork. For taxes, you don't actually. According to the city and my lawyer, I actually do. Your lawyer? The one helping me navigate the criminal liability I'm facing for the illegal renovations done to my property without my knowledge. Emma, don't be dramatic. We'll handle this. Your father knows people. The same people who recommended the unlicensed contractor who removed a load-bearing wall. Another silence. What do you want? She asked coldly. I want you to understand something, I said. 4 months ago, I begged you for a couch to sleep on. You were too busy installing wine fridges to help your homeless daughter. Now your precious Adam is about to be homeless too, and suddenly you want my cooperation. Emma, I'm forcing a sale of the property. My lawyer will be in touch. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Adam and Nicole had to move into a motel, the same chain where I'd spent a few nights when my car was too cold. The house required over $200,000 in repairs to be habitable again. My parents, having sunk their savings into illegal renovations, couldn't afford it. The city fined them $50,000 for the permit violations. The contractor disappeared with their money. Insurance wouldn't cover anything because the work was illegal. At the emergency family meeting held in my parents' living room, the same room where they'd refused me shelter, everyone turned to me. You have to stop this, Adam pleaded. It's my home. My kids' home. I begged for help when I had no home, I reminded them. Mom told me it would motivate me to try harder. That's different, my father interjected. You're single. No responsibilities. Adam has a family. I had a life too, a job I loved. An apartment, savings, I lost it all, and you didn't care. I stood to leave. By the way, I got a job offer yesterday, senior marketing position. The background check will show I co-own a condemned property, but my lawyer wrote a nice letter explaining the situation. My mother's face was stone. So you'll drop the forced sale? No, I need my share of whatever equity is left after the lands are settled. Turns out being homeless is expensive. I need first and last month's rent, a security deposit, furniture, a new car since mine finally died last week. You're destroying your brother's life out of spite, she said. No, you destroyed his life out of greed. You put my name on a deed without telling me to save a few thousand in taxes. You hired an unlicensed contractor to save money. You chose granite countertops over your homeless daughter. Every choice you made led here. The house sold at a loss. After the liens, fines, and legal fees, there wasn't much left. My share came to about $40,000, enough to start over, but not enough to make anyone rich. Adam and his family moved in with my parents. The last I heard, all 5 of them were crammed into the same 3-bedroom house where they couldn't spare a couch for me. The same guest room that was too full of construction supplies now held 2 adults and 2 children. My parents don't speak to me anymore. They tell family I'm ungrateful, that I used a technicality to steal from my brother. They don't mention the nights I shivered in my car while they posted photos of Italian marble. I have an apartment now, nothing fancy, 1 bedroom, outdated kitchen, temperamental heater. But it's warm. It's safe. It's mine. Sometimes I drive past the gym where I used to shower, and I remember the woman who lived in her car, who believed she deserved so little that she apologized for asking for help. I remember the morning I called my parents, how small my voice sounded, how their rejection felt like confirmation of my worthlessness. But mostly I remember the city inspector who unknowingly saved my life. Because sometimes justice comes from unexpected places. Sometimes the people who refuse to help you end up helping you more than they ever intended. My brother texts occasionally, asking when I'll get over it, and help them figure out their housing situation. I never respond. They had a chance to help when I was desperate. They chose renovation over relationship, appearances over family. Now they're learning what I learned in that cold car. Karma might drive slowly, but it always arrives at the right address. And sometimes, just sometimes, it brings a building inspector with it.